The Counter-Reformation. The Counter-Reformation, or the Catholic Reformation, was a period of spiritual, moral, and intellectual revival in the Catholic Church in the 16th and 17th centuries, usually dated from 1545, the opening of the Council of Trent, to 1648, the end of the 30 Years' War. There were many prominent figures in the Counter-Reformation, one of the most well-known being Pope Paul III. He was the most important pope in reforming the Church and challenging Protestantism. Rather than instituting new doctrines, Pope Paul III sought to improve church discipline through existing doctrines. The Catholic Reformation was both a response to the gains of Protestantism and the response to critics within the Church that abuses needed to be reformed. Another influential entity was the Council of Trent, constituted by 3 sessions that lasted from 1546 to 1563, and established Catholic dogma for the next 4 centuries. One of their objectives was emphasizing that the Scripture, church traditions, and the writings of the Church Fathers were equally valid. Another was that salvation could be achieved by both good works and faith. Moreover, it declared that all 7 sacraments were valid, and therefore reaffirmed transubstantiation. Furthermore, the Council of Trent reaffirmed monasticism, celibacy of the clergy, and purgatory. The Council also approved the Index of Forbidden Books, which were books that supported Protestantism or that were overly critical of the Church. For instance, books written by Erasmus were banned from Catholic countries. Anyone possessing books listed in the index could be punished severely. The Council of Trent also reformed the Church. Abuses and the sale of indulgences curtailed, as did the sale of church offices. Bishops were also given greater control over the clergy, and seminaries were established to train priests. New religious orders were born out of the Counter-Reformation, famously including the Jesuits, which were founded in 1540. The Jesuits were founded by Ignatius Loyola and were organized in a rigid military fashion. Loyola utilized his guidebook, Spiritual Exercises, to train the Jesuits. The Jesuits had 3 main goals: to reform the Church through education, to spread the gospel to pagan peoples, and to fight Protestantism. Beginning in 1542, the Jesuits oversaw both the Spanish and Holy Roman Inquisitions. In Spain, the Jesuits oversaw the persecution of Moriscos and Christian Jews who were suspected of backsliding to the original faith. In Italy, Pope Paul IV issued a papal bull accusing Jews of killing Christ and ordering that Jews be placed in ghettos in the Papal States. As a result, the persecution of Jews throughout Europe increased greatly. Because of these new religious orders, the Catholic Reformation succeeded in bringing southern Germany and Eastern Europe back to Catholicism. The Index of Forbidden Books was also strongly enforced in these parts of Europe. The onset of the Catholic Reformation also resulted in new styles of art. One of these novel styles of art is Mannerism, which developed in Spain. It was a reaction against the Renaissance ideals of balance, symmetry, simplicity, and realistic use of color. Mannerism works often used natural, acidic colors, while shapes were often elongated or otherwise exaggerated. El Greco, perhaps the greatest of the Mannerists, was a Greek artist who did most of his work in Spain. The burial of Count Orgaz and the view of Toledo are 2 important examples of his work. Mannerism reflected Baroque ideals and became associated with the Catholic Reformation in the late 16th century. Baroque art was also born out of the Catholic Reformation. It began in Catholic countries to teach in a concrete and emotional way and demonstrate the glory and power of the Catholic Church. It was often encouraged by the papacy and the Jesuits and became prominent in France, Flanders, Austria, southern Germany, and Poland. Later, Baroque art spread to Protestant countries such as the Netherlands, northern Germany, and England. Baroque art was meant to overwhelm the viewer and emphasize the grandiosity, emotion, movement, spaciousness, and unity surrounding a certain theme. Baroque architecture reflected the image and power of absolute monarchs in the Catholic Church. Gian Lorenzo Bernini, the architect behind the Colonnade, St. Peter's Baldachin, and the Ecstasy of St. Teresa, personified Baroque architecture and sculpture. The Counter-Reformation resulted in a multitude of landmark events. One of these events was that the unity of Western Christianity was completely shattered. In Northern Europe, much as Germany, parts of France, Switzerland, and Scotland eventually adopted Protestantism. In addition, religious enthusiasm was rekindled, and similar enthusiasm has not been seen since far back into the Middle Ages. Moreover, abuses in the Roman Catholic Church were remedied. Simony, pluralism, and immoral or badly educated clergy were considerably improved by the 17th century. Additionally, religious wars broke out in Europe for well over a century. Also had a considerable impact on women. Luther believed that a woman's occupation was in the home taking care of the family. Catholic governments began to follow the Protestant example, and marriage became more companionate, emphasizing the love relationship between man and wife. Martin Luther and his wife, Katharina von Bora, were good examples of this view. Also, an increased emphasis on teaching people to read the Bible resulted in an increase in women's literacy. This being said, Protestant women gradually lost the right to manage property or make legal transactions in their own name. However, Catholic women continue to enjoy opportunities in the church through religious orders. For instance, Angela Merici founded the Ursuline Order of Nuns in the 1530s to provide education and religious training. It was even approved as a religious community by Pope Paul III in 1544 and established the foundation for the future of young girls within the church. Thank you for listening. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe for more educational content.